Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My new neighbor thinks she can park anywhere. After that, am I the jerk for letting my fiance fend for himself after he constantly compared me to his mom? And after that, my parents wanted me to trade houses with them because I got a slightly better one. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to take her neighbor's parking spot. I don't see their name on it. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My new neighbor thinks she can park anywhere. This is currently happening, and my significant other is witnessing it and texting me it while I'm at work. I had a new neighbor move into my building, and she left notes on everyone's doors saying that she had bought the building and gave us insane rules to follow. She does not own the building, but only a unit or apartment. Jury is still out if she is insane or stupid. She's been quiet for the last few days, and I thought maybe that was it. Apparently, I was wrong. So each unit in our building is allocated one parking spot, just one. I park in mine, and my significant other parks his car on the street on the other side of the building. Our parking lot has one visitor space. It's a very small parking lot, 6 spots for residents and 1 for a visitor. The visitor spot is nearly always empty, and my neighbors have said my significant other could park his car there if he wanted to, as we are the only unit with 2 cars, but he doesn't mind parking where he is. This morning, my significant other woke up to yelling. Our kitchen window overlooks the parking lot, and he snuck a peek out the window and saw entitled neighbors standing next to our nice neighbor's car, and they were arguing loudly. She kept yelling that she had a second car and needed to park in his spot, and he had to move his car or else she would have it towed. He kept repeating that it was his parking spot and she could either park it in the visitor spot or on the street, and if she towed his car, he would report it as stolen. Significant other said she kept yelling that she can park wherever she wants to and he needed to move it or else. So my significant other decided to park his car in my empty spot in case she tried to park there while I'm at work. Last message he sent me, she had stormed upstairs in a huff and slammed the door. Update. I got home from work and she has parked her second car in the visitor spot, but she's parked it so badly it's blocking the driveway in. Right now, I'm parked on the street, but too tired to deal with her. Update 2. So like I said before, her car was basically blocking the driveway and I had to park on the street. Anyway, when I got up for work the next day, it was still there, but when I came home, it was gone. I asked my significant other as he was at home, and apparently a tow truck came and took it away. I'm still not sure which neighbor called the tow truck, but I have a suspicion it's the one she was arguing with. Significant other said she has been quiet all day, only the odd footsteps. Am I the jerk for letting my fiance fend for himself after he constantly compared me to his mom? My fiance had a heart attack and required an open heart surgery 2 weeks ago. He just got home a few days ago and I'm caring for him. A little backstory. His mom and I don't have a good relationship. Since the beginning of my relationship to my fiance, his mom would constantly try to compete with me and one-up me on everything. She always claimed she should be the first woman in my fiance's life because she birthed and raised him, and how I can't break their bond. For the most part, these comments were unprovoked, and at first, I would be too scared to defend myself. But later I stood up for myself, and my fiance stood up for me and established some boundaries with his mom. His mom sometimes crosses some of those boundaries, but for the most part, she's been acting a bit better. During his stay in the hospital, both I and his mom took turns staying with him. Ever since we got home, I'm the one caring for him 24/7. And I don't mind. I love him and I want him to get better. But I got extremely upset because after we got home, he was being ungrateful about everything. He started comparing me to his mom. He started saying his mom would do this thing better, and why can't I do it like his mom does, since that's how he likes it? He gave backhanded compliments to the foods I make and says, "It's good, but it's not like my mom's." He sometimes also snaps at me because I won't do something quick enough or properly enough, and he will tell me words like, "I wish my mom was here. She wouldn't be so useless. Just tell her to come here if you can't do these basic tasks." I was patient with him because I don't want to upset him during his recovery. What made me lose my mind and leave the house was when he told me that his mom was probably right when she said she should be the first woman in his life since she'd care about him better than I do, and how it was a mistake establishing boundaries with her, and that I was the one he should have established boundaries with. After this comment, I didn't think twice. I just packed my clothes in my handbag and left and went and stayed at my cousin's house. He called me and said that I'm the jerk for leaving him home alone while he's recovering, and that I should have at least called his mom first so she'd come. I told him he should call her, and it's none of my business anymore. My parents told me I was out of line for leaving him to fend for himself, and that he's right, that I should have called his mom first, and now I'm the jerk for making this about me when my fiance's recovery should be my priority. Not the jerk. Go back, pack the rest of your stuff, and leave him for good. He's showing his true colors. A mama's boy will always be a mama's boy, and you'll always come second. OP. For all these years, he was an amazing partner who was able to set all the right boundaries to his mom. I don't know what changed now, and he switched that fast. Nothing changed. This is who he is. It's easy to put up boundaries when things are going well. I have sympathy for him in terms of his recovery from surgery, but ultimately, it's difficult circumstances that really test a partner's willingness to maintain said boundaries. If he can go back on his word this time, he'll do it again. Exactly. Sure, the surgery is a huge, emotional, and painful process that can bring out the worst in some people, but it sounds like he has adjusted his true self long enough to lock OP into marriage and kids. Once that happens and OP is tied down, mommy will take over his life again. Yes, open heart surgery takes a psychological toll on the patient. It brings out their true colors. This is his, and it ain't pretty. OP, you need to make that departure permanent. You made a huge sacrifice in being his 24/7 caretaker. Taking care of a post-surgery patient, open heart no less, is deeply and physically and emotionally exhausting. He's being deeply ungrateful. People take turns taking care of patients. You're doing all the care around the clock, and you're also being belittled? That doesn't seem balanced. Comparing you to his mom and belittling what you do for him that way is typical mama's boy antics. Of course, it's not like mom's. It's not made by mom. If he wants to do things mom's way, just give her a call, the way he did you after you left. It's clear he doesn't want a life with his partner. He wants Mom 2.0 to take care of him. No matter what he did, if he told you that you aren't the first woman in his life because Mom has that spot, you need to leave. Yes, Mommy raised him, but when he's an engaged man, his life partner takes priority. This is his way of telling you that he will always choose his mom over you, and you're second, no matter the circumstances. Do you want to spend the rest of your life with him? Not the jerk. Also, run. Call off the wedding. He can marry his mom since he doesn't get the difference between wife and mother. OP. Oh, trust me, he gets the difference. He just wanted to switch it to his benefit each time. All these years, his mom was useless to him, so he was perfectly fine setting boundaries with her. Suddenly, he started missing the mommy care and switched me to be the bad guy because I was not an exact copy of his mom. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her husband? Please let us know. If Reddit boy was a mama's boy, he'd need a new head. My parents wanted me to trade houses with them because I got a slightly better one. I'm going to start this off by saying that if you have a house and don't have cameras, get cameras. I have some now, but I should have gotten them sooner. I live in a pretty typical manufactured home in Arizona. My parents also live in one just a few streets over. Despite how close we are, I'm very low contact because they are just bad people. They treated me okay as a kid, but things changed as soon as I was in my late teens. I was expected to do more and pay my way as soon as I finished high school. That was fair. I was an adult by then after all. But my parents wanted a lot more in rent than what I'd have to pay to get my own apartment. I'd have had next to nothing left of my monthly paycheck if I'd given them what they wanted. So I refused to give them more than a fair amount, plus a share in utilities. And I started buying my own food as well. My father openly said that this was not good enough, and my parents actually filed official paperwork to evict me when I refused to cater to their demands. I left home and got an apartment with my best friend. 5 years later, and I bought my own house in a neighborhood not far from my parents. It's just a manufactured home on a small property, but it was so darn cheap that I couldn't turn it down, and my monthly mortgage isn't bad either. I even moved my best friend in to help me cover the bills. We were already used to living in the same space, and the house gave us much more room. I may even let another friend move in to get some more rent money for the mortgage because we've got one room that's actually left unused right now since the house is a 3-bedroom. My parents, though, somehow didn't like my independence from them. Did they want me to fail or something? I don't know. But the incident that caused the very low contact was when they demanded I trade houses with them. Yes, you read that correctly. They actually wanted to trade. Their manufactured home is smaller and older than mine and has one less bedroom. And their yard is smaller too. Not that either of us have any grass. It is Arizona after all. When they first saw my place, they looked upset. After a couple more visits, my father actually said it wasn't fair that I was doing better than them, and I was rubbing my nicer house in their faces. It's just an old manufactured home in one of the hottest states in the US. Seriously, what's to brag about? But I guess having something even slightly better than what my parents had irked them. And as I've already said, they actually demanded we trade houses because of it. My friend who lives with me literally fell onto the couch laughing when they said that, and I couldn't help but join in. My father said it was not funny, and to give him what he wants. When I recovered my composure, I said he and my mother were not entitled to my house or anything I own for that matter, and then told them to get out. After that, we barely spoke, and then lockdown hit. Didn't really change my life much. I liked the peace and quiet, and my friend knows to leave me alone most of the time. My father, however, got laid off, and he struggled to find another job. He ended up working in the local Marto Walls for half a year before getting a better paying job. I did get a kick out of seeing him there when I was shopping for groceries, but as much as I hate him, I'm not going to call him a bad employee. He actually did fine. But during that time, he and my mother kept calling me and asking for money. And I know what y'all are thinking. Don't lend them anything. They didn't want loans. They wanted handouts. Why? Because they raised me and I owed them. I said if they didn't want the cost of raising a kid, they shouldn't have had one. A few weeks ago though, my mother called me begging for money because their dinosaur of a window AC unit finally crapped out. I told them I was not giving them anything, and they were too cheap to replace the old AC unit for a long time, so I wasn't gonna buy them a new one. My mother then complained about how I have two in my house, and the least I could do is give them one. I then said that if she and my father weren't always throwing away their money on beer and other stuff all the time, they'd have the money to buy another AC. Then I said I wasn't giving them one of mine or any money. End of story. Only it wasn't the end of the story. A few days later, I came home from work. Find my house had been broken into. My front door locks were drilled out and both of my window AC units were gone. Nothing else was stolen, but they went out of their way to make a huge mess for some stupid reason. Probably to make it look like a typical robbery or something. I knew it had to have been my parents and I called the police. I told the police that I heavily suspected my parents of the theft because they act entitled to my stuff, even though I'm a grown man that doesn't live with them. I went with the police to my parents' house, and sure enough, they had both my AC units going in their windows. When confronted, my parents obviously denied the theft. They claimed they already owned the AC units, but statements from their neighbors say otherwise. But my parents still denied the theft. I'd bought both AC units used online years ago, which means I had no receipts for them. So I figured my only option was to look for witnesses in my own neighborhood. And as luck would have it, a neighbor across the street has security cameras, and the edge of one of them caught just enough to see my parents showing up in my father's truck. My father could be seen walking with a cordless power drill in hand, and a few minutes later, they came back to the truck with my AC units, then went back in to ransack the place, I'm guessing. With this evidence in hand, police had cause to arrest my parents. At first, both of them acted like they had done nothing wrong, but I convinced police to let me do the talking. I said they could either return the AC units to my home and clean up the mess they made, or I'd let the police arrest them both right there. They'd already stolen from me, lied to the police, trespassed, vandalized my house, broken my front door locks, and there was video evidence of what they had done. If I pressed charges, they were both going to jail for sure. My parents looked deflated, then asked for a moment to talk with each other in their room. I heard a lot of shouting from both of them, and I could hear my mother yelling that my father was an idiot, and he was trying to blame me in turn. After about 5 minutes of that, they came back out looking even more deflated and said they'll return the AC units and stop bothering me for money if I didn't press charges. I said they were going to clean up the mess in my house and buy new locks for my front door as well, and then I wanted written apologies from both of them on top of it. They begrudgingly agreed and even got a police escort back to my house. My father was forced to put the AC units back in my windows and then left my mother to clean up the huge mess they made while he went out and bought replacement locks for my front door. He was gone about an hour and came back with a new stainless steel lock set to replace the knob and deadbolt. Then he had to help my mother finish cleaning. During this time, I let the two cops just sit and watch them while drinking soda. They said it was very entertaining. After everything was cleaned up, I gave my parents each a piece of paper and a pencil, then told them to write out apologies to me for what they had done. My father looked especially upset and said I was treating him like a kid. I said he was acting like one and never stopped treating me like one either. This was just me holding him accountable, and I could have sent him to jail, but I felt like this was better for teaching him a lesson. He then kind of snorted and started writing. My mother wrote out a good apology, but my father's was a pretty half attempt and passive aggressive, but I didn't care. It seemed to really get to him inside having to do it, and when he was done, he left without speaking to me. My mother said she was sorry and she'd leave me alone, then followed after him. The two cops said they thought the whole thing was hilarious and then thanked me for giving them an excuse to take a break while on the job before leaving. Not long after, I shelled out to get some cameras for the exterior of my house, so if someone tries to break in again, I'll get it on video. I only have 2 cameras, but added a couple more fake ones that look real enough just to scare people off. I haven't heard a peep from my parents, but their next-door neighbor told me that they went and bought a new AC unit. Guess they had the money for one after all. Makes me wonder why they thought it was a good idea to steal from me. Maybe having lean pockets for a while will teach them. Then again, they are who they are after all. Edit. I've been questioned on how I got a house when I was only 23 years old. To start off with, the place was very cheap. In Arizona, you can find old manufactured homes on tiny properties for a very doable amount. I also kept and still have pretty good credit. The house and land were only $55K. The house was a little bit of a fixer-upper too, but I was able to put $10K on a down payment, and I was able to get approved for a loan for the rest. The house is no prize, and by now it's at least 30 years old, but it's home, and once I have it paid off, I'll feel much more financially secure. Am I the jerk for using my husband's money to pay for my daughter's Apple iPhone that he broke? My daughter is 16. She's had her old phone for 5 years and always wanted a new phone. I'm the only one working right now since my husband decided to take a break from work after he inherited some money from his dad. I saw that she did pretty good at school despite having mental health issues that had gotten in the way of her focus before, and so I decided to keep her encouraged and reward her by getting her an Apple iPhone that cost a good sum of money. I did my best to save money to buy it. I literally skipped paying for breakfast at work to be able to afford it, and my husband didn't want to help, so I was on my own. I bought her the iPhone, and quite honestly, I haven't seen her this happy in a while. It was refreshing for me because she really went through some hard times in the past couple of years, emotionally and mentally. My husband wasn't happy with this, and he said the iPhone will only distract her from school and chores, but that wasn't true. In fact, it encouraged her to do more. But he still said I shouldn't have spent that kind of money on an iPhone that she might be irresponsible with and break. My daughter picked up on his attitude towards the iPhone, but I told her to ignore him. Days ago, I found out that he broke the iPhone. I asked why, and he said he had asked her to get him something from the toolbox in the garage, but she was on the iPhone and ignored him. He used this incident as evidence that the iPhone was a bad influence, but I yelled at him and demanded he replace it. He said he wouldn't, so I took money out of his account and paid for a new iPhone and gave it to my daughter. He saw what I did and went off on me, calling me names, and accused me of stealing his father's money and demanded the money I took, every single penny back. I basically told him it won't happen. He got his mother on me, saying I'm setting a terrible example for my daughter by getting her a phone paid for with money that I stole from her dad. My husband said he won't speak a word to me until I fix this, but I already said I owe him nothing. Am I the jerk for this? ETA. No, he's her biological father, not stepdad. And price for the iPhone where I live is $1,000, and it's not cheap. Finding out that I took $1,000 out of his inheritance really got him so furious that he said I was the worst woman he met in his life. He had 2 ex-wives, if this is in any way relevant. He took it back later, then said he won't speak until the money is back. Sounds like you need to save up for a divorce. To purposefully break someone's belongings because their actions anger you? This is just a massive red flag. He quit his job because of an inheritance and makes you work extra to get something for your daughter? OP, run like Usain Bolt. You are not the jerk. The fact he's not working but eating up savings is such a hill to die on for me. It's so irresponsible and not thinking about long-term consequences. Then he breaks her phone instead of just taking it away for the day like a normal person. OP, pack up everything you need and leave. Am I the jerk for naming my daughter the same as her half-sister? Last summer, I, 33 female, started seeing this guy, 45 male. In December, I found out I was pregnant and I decided to keep it. I was already feeling like we were at the beginning of the end of relationship, so I said, look, I'm pregnant. I've made this decision, but it's up to you if you want to be involved, and it's okay if you want to bail. I have the resources to do this alone. He said a baby wasn't something he wanted, and I said that's totally fine. I won't even put your name down on the birth certificate. We can treat this like a donor situation. He agreed. After that, he predictably started pulling away and we broke up. 3 months post-breakup, when I was 6.5 months pregnant, this woman DMs me and says, "Hey, were you getting with my husband until recently?" It turns out that he had a wife and a daughter. His wife was/is in the process of getting a divorce from him and gathering evidence of what turned out to be a wild amount of cheating. So she was relatively cordial and believed me when I said I had no clue. Even before we had broken up, I told him that if it was a girl, I wanted to name her Samantha. Samantha isn't the actual name, but it's a similar, long, girly name with multiple nicknames. It was my sister's name before she passed, and even before that, it was a name I loved for aesthetic reasons. We always talked about naming our daughters after one another before she passed. He expressed dislike, but I jokingly, but not really, said it wasn't really his decision. After everything came out in the open, I found out that the reason he was so against the name was because his daughter is named Samantha. Now that everything is out in the open, he said, "So what are you going to name her?" And I said, "What do you mean? I already told you, Samantha." And he said, "You can't do that. That's my other daughter's name." I said that he lost naming privileges a long time ago, and if anyone asked, I was happy to make it clear that I had been the one to pick the name. I also reminded him that I still wasn't obligating him to be involved in this in any way, and given how he had lied, I frankly didn't want him to be. But if and when he chose to be involved, I was going to hold him to it and expect child support, visitation, etc. Which from his point of view is non-ideal because he doesn't want the responsibility of care and especially doesn't want the responsibility of child support and asset splitting. Rather, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. I take on all the responsibility. There's no paternity test, a blank father's name on the birth certificate, but he still gets to have opinions, which frankly suits me as well because I don't want to be legally tied to him. But when I told my friend, she said that while he didn't deserve any courtesy, it was an unkind thing to do to his daughter. How do you think your daughter is going to feel when she finds out she has an older half-sister with the same name? And she will find out. There are currently around 50 comments, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one that mentions how the OP's future daughter might feel in the future. Surely, that should be one of the first considerations. It seems like that could be covered by, "It was my late sister's name, who meant a lot to me, and I chose it before I knew about your donor's other family." Right? Tell her early that she's named after her late aunt, and her half-sister having the same name is a funny coincidence. Assuming the real name is equally as common as Samantha, she's going to know at least a few at school anyway. Well, what do you think? Should OP go ahead and name her daughter Samantha or not? Please let us know. I might get downvoted for this, but I think it's her choice what she wants to name her baby. That deadbeat doesn't have a say in anything. Am I the jerk for letting my husband's ex struggle when I could technically pay? My husband, B, who's 36, and his ex, K, who's 34, share 2 kids who are ages 16 and 14, split custody 50-50, no monthly child support, but B pays all insurance, medical costs, extracurriculars, and has to put $150 each in a college fund each month. I have a 16-year-old myself. B made a base income, but got bonuses and commissions. On commission checks, he would send K 50% of it. On bonuses, he would send K 35%. This was not court-ordered, but very regular. Well, B was in a wreck. Couldn't work 5 months. Got fired. Legal. Called lawyer. Took 3 months to find another job that could cater to his new disabilities, but took a huge pay cut and no more bonuses or commission. I paid all bills, plus his child obligations, even the average sum of what he sent K extra per month during this time. After realizing his pay wouldn't recover, we talked to Kay and told her that we can no longer afford to send her extra as we weren't making it. She seemed to understand. During this time period, my kid turned 16 and saved up $4,000 for a car. I've always promised to match whatever they save. This money was already put away. We got a car for $6K. My kid pays her own insurance and gas. B's 16-year-old saw and somehow got Kay to lease her a car in fairness. Kay did not consult us about it. The next month, she hits us up for money. After some discussion, she assumed we'd figured out the money after seeing us buy my 16-year-old a car. We explained that's not the case, but she got so angry, losing it on us, and ended up taking us to court for child support. The court determined that Kay makes significantly more than B, and she needs to pay $300 a month in child support and reimburse insurance. Her past income did not matter since he is now considered disabled. It's been about 3 months since, and Kay's entire family is blowing us up, telling us how horrible and evil we are, that Kay is being threatened with eviction and B's 16-year-old car is being repoed. They say it's my fault because Kay only leased it since she expected us to keep paying, that her paying child support means she can't afford her car, and I'm spoiling my 16-year-old playing favorites. Kay also says that my income plays a role since the kids live with me 50% of the time, so I'm horrible to deprive the kids. This makes me feel horrible. Am I the jerk here? I could pay, but I would not be able to save since I'm paying more since B makes way less. Not the jerk. Spouses have nothing to do with financial responsibility of a kid. The biological parents are responsible for child support, point blank. And it's her own darn fault for assuming anything. Honestly, your husband was more than generous before the accident. Like really. Had it been me, my ex would not have seen any of my bonus or commissions. She did herself over in taking y'all to court. She made her bed, let her lay in it. She sounds very greedy and entitled to me. And y'all are doing 50-50. She's lucky she saw anything. I'm honestly shocked. Not the jerk. No good deed goes unpunished. B should never have been so generous. Of course, that is neither here nor there. Bottom line, this is not your responsibility. This is also none of Kay's family's business. They don't get a vote. Block them. I just love the fact that Kay was losing it on you and taking B to court, and yet she gets stuck paying child support. Wow, nothing like schadenfreude. Disconnect your guilt button. You have nothing to feel guilty about or horrible about. Kay brought this on herself. You should not have to suffer. Am I the jerk for expecting my pregnant girlfriend to apologize to my mom after rejecting her food? My girlfriend is 39 weeks pregnant, and my mom has come to town to stay with us so we have someone to take care of our 3-year-old and cats when we go to the hospital. My girlfriend and mom usually get along, so it was a good idea, but my girlfriend has been causing some issues this week, and now I'm stuck in the middle between 2 angry ladies and wondering if I'm the jerk. The main issue. My mom is an amazing cook, but admittedly she doesn't always cook the healthiest because growing up, me and my brother hated vegetables. My mom has cooked dinner for us every night since she got here 5 days ago, and tonight my girlfriend said she would cook. My mom told her not to worry because she already had it planned. So my girlfriend told her that maybe she could cook for herself, our toddler and me, but my girlfriend needed something specific tonight. They kind of went back and forth, with my mom offering to cook what she wanted, until my girlfriend rather rudely said she just wanted to cook for herself tonight. My mom is extremely offended and hurt, and my girlfriend is upset because she says she needs certain nutrients and foods right now, and she can't let being polite get in the way of maintaining a healthy diet. I decided to take my mom's side because she offered to cook my girlfriend what she wanted, and girlfriend literally ended up just eating boiled green beans and broccoli, which my mom easily could have done. Plus, the baby is already grown, and she takes prenatal vitamins every day, so I felt she was being a bit dramatic. I told my girlfriend I expect her to apologize to my mom, and she told me I'm being a jerk and need to butt out. Am I the jerk? You're the jerk. The baby isn't fully grown, for starters. Babies rely on the energy and nutrients mom provides until they are out of the womb and the cord is cut. Then they get it via milk and formula. Just because she's taking prenatal vitamins doesn't mean it's all good. Secondly, you have zero ideas about the cravings of a pregnant woman. She wanted healthy food, which is her body telling her that's what she needs at that moment in time. Having a baby takes a massive toll on the body. If she wants to cook herself veggies, let her have all the veggies. She clearly tried to be polite to your mother, and then she got snapped. Your girlfriend is full of hormones, emotions, about to give birth, and your baby. Worst of all, you sided with your mother over your girlfriend, aka the mother of your kid. What kind of jerk move is that? Are you looking to sleep on the couch for eternity? You, sir, need to get your priorities in order. Apologize to your girlfriend and ask your mother to chill with the pushiness. Your mother obviously means well, but she needs to stay in her lane and respect your very pregnant girlfriend's wishes when it comes to what she wants to eat. Entitled mom demands I invite her kids to a party that's not even a party. So, some backstory. My brother is an ER doctor and his husband an ER nurse, so they both work long hours throughout the week. They have twins, we will call them Ann and Kin, not their real names, just the first to pop in my head. Now, because of their workload, me and my sister help throughout the week by taking the kids after school a few days a week. I have them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Well, Friday happens to be my niece and nephew's birthday. Now, due to lockdown, we can't have a big party that they're used to, but I still wanted to make it special. My niece and nephew had become friends with two kids in the building, Sarah and Blake, again, fake names. Their mother, we will call Nice Neighbor. I had become friends with her. Now, every time my niece and nephew are over, they play with Sarah and Blake. So I told the twins that Sarah and Blake could come over on Friday for a little birthday sleepover. I worked it out with Sarah and Blake's mom and got everything ready. Now here's where Entitled Mom comes in. As I was coming in the building, Entitled Mom ran up to me. So, you're having a party tonight? Me. What? No. Sarah and Blake told my kids that they were going to your niece's party at your apartment. Me. It's not a party. It's my niece and nephew's birthday, so I told them they could have Sarah and Blake over to watch movies. Well, my kids are upset that they weren't invited. Me. Sorry, but like I said, it's not a party. Just my niece and nephew having friends over. My kids would love a sleepover. Me. Oh, well then maybe you should throw one. You could be nice and invite them. It's not nice to leave kids out. Me. I don't even know your kids. Sarah and Blake have been friends with my niece and nephew for going on 3 years. Well, they can always get to know each other at the party. No, my niece doesn't like strange people. I'm your neighbor. I'm not strange. You tried to break into my apartment a few days ago. You're being overly dramatic. And you're being crazy. Well, that's rude. I rolled my eyes and walked away before she could say anything else. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.